Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more book and music related content. I don't even know how to explain to you the way that I'm feeling with Ukraine being invaded. If you guys want updates on how everything is going, how my family is doing, feel free to follow me on my Instagram and my TikTok. Those are both linked down in the description. I'm struggling to not feel a lot of guilt at being here when they are there, but when I told my mom about the way that I was feeling, she said, well, we are so much more help being over here as opposed to being with them, hiding in our houses while tanks patrol the streets. And I hadn't thought about it that way at all. Of course, there are plenty of strong activists who do not have personal ties to whatever cause they are advocating for, but it definitely makes me move a lot faster. I was on the news a couple days ago because I attended my first protest ever, which was in protest of how little the American government is doing to help Ukraine. My mom volunteered me to speak, and that was a very emotional day for me because that was the first day that tanks were actually in my family's hometown. So I was crying on the local news, and that was cute. I also have reporters that have reached out to me to do more interviews this week. I was invited to participate in a cultural fashion show where I will be wearing traditional Ukrainian clothes, and I am also holding my own protest this weekend. If you are in the Tulsa area, feel free to DM me on Instagram and I will give you details if you would like to attend. So there's so much to do to prepare for that. I'm probably going to take a break from YouTube after this. The only reason I'm doing this video is because I have a sponsorship due that I agreed to like a month ago. No one could have predicted something like this would happen so fast. I just feel so awful right now, physically, mentally, emotionally. But you know, I'm doing things about it. I'm not going to be posting this weekend. I might take like 2-ish weeks off. I'm just so tired of this, and I can't even imagine what it's like actually being there. I want to show how angry I am, because I am angry. This has been happening for way too long. I'll have some organizations down below that you guys can donate to. I also have a petition that you guys can sign. I will link that down below. Let's just get into the sponsor of today's video. So today I am promoting 2 books in the Mara Turing series by author Javi Padilla. There are 4 books published in Spanish that have sold 20,000 copies within the past year and a half. The first 3 books have been translated into English, and the third one is coming out this month, so keep an eye out for that. Books 1 and 2, which I am holding, are available for purchase on the Mara Turing website. I will have the link down below. Something I love about this book is the really cool black and white illustrations. So I'm gonna go ahead and read the synopsis of the first book. It's called Rise of the Hackers. Mara Turing receives a mysterious message right before leaving for her summer vacation. I need your help. This cry for help comes from her uncle, a member of the famous group of hackers known as the Dirty Loopers. He had disappeared without a trace 5 years ago, leaving a blank space in Mara's life, which had a great impact on her childhood. Mara and her friends embark on an adventure to find her uncle Arnold Turing that leads them to learn how to program in a garage in Queens, New York, see the world through more critical eyes, and face the evil duo Hermes, an extremely advanced artificial intelligence, and Falco McKinnon, the most dangerous hacker in the world. And how cute are these animations? Oh my god, I just love the illustrations of this series so much. Book 2 also has a lot more. This makes me think of Hogwarts. So this one, Evil Reborn, book 2, Mara Turing finds a piece of paper in her pocket that hints she might be able to see her uncle Arnold once again. Now that they're all back in Liverpool, she tries to go on with her life as usual, but can't get that possible reunion with her uncle out of her head. The Salamander Squad has a clear mission for the new school year. St. Michael's nerds are their next big targets for all the videos they've got planned out for their online channel. Hermes, the artificial intelligence, considers these gang members a useful resource to hunt down Mara, Noah, and Daniel and use them as bait to lure Arnold Turing out of his hiding spot. Meanwhile, Falco McKinnon can't bear being locked up in Hidden Peak any longer, so he comes up with a breakout plan that's insane and unlikely to work, but what if it does work? I am so intrigued to get started on these, so keep an eye out for them in a reading wrap-up in the future. Thank you so much to Javi Padilla for sending me these books, and thank you guys so much for supporting the sponsors so I can continue to make videos on this channel. Okay, so I kicked off the month with finishing the last arc of the Warrior Cat series that I talked about in my last reading wrap-up. I cannot believe I read only 5 books this month when I read 13 last month, but I've had other things on my mind. Okay, so the first book I read in February was Darkness Within. This was unfortunately one of the more filler-seeming Warrior Cats books. So the whole premise of this arc, if you've forgotten, is one of the cats, the leader of ThunderClan, ends up getting possessed, which had never happened in an arc before, and they usually like to repeat things. So I did enjoy this premise, even if it was definitely eccentric. So the main premise of this one is they're trying to bring the sisters back to the clans to try to communicate with Bramblestar's ghost because they want to get him back into his body and get the imposter out. And yes, that imposter game sound was playing in my head multiple times while I read this series. The sisters are a group of 2 cats, at least. I think it might be more than 2. It's kind of confusing for a reader who hasn't read the super editions, which I have not. I hate the parallels in this series between the villains and actual dictators and autocrats throughout history, because now that I'm reading my notes on this back, I'm glad I finished it before horrible things started happening. There's a lot of arguing between the clans over whether they should kill this imposter who possessed the ThunderClan leader's body. That's looking a lot like NATO right now. The answer is always yes. There's a lot of random subplots that kind of don't really go anywhere. I ended up rating this one 3 out of 5. It was okay, and the ending was the most riveting part, but the rest was just kind of filler. Finding the sisters was interesting, but that took a while to happen as they had to go search for them, and journey scenes tend to not be the most riveting scenes in this series. Next, I read The Place of No Stars, which is book number 4 in this Warrior Cats arc. I rated this one 3 out of 5 again. There was a character death that was so fast and sudden in the beginning, and I didn't like it. This character was one that I really enjoyed. The villain who has possessed the ThunderClan leader's body has also been revealed by this point, and he has no interesting traits about him anymore. When there was this air of mystery around him, it was really intriguing to read about, but now that we know who he is, you notice that he has not developed as a character at all, and it doesn't make for the most interesting read. So next I read the final book in all of the Warrior Cats arcs, which was A Light in the Mist. This one had no business making me cry. They played with a sort of finality for this character that a lot of people are very angry about because of the way it was done and the implications that it has. But for me, I thought it was really good. I felt like it needed to be done. You kind of go into this book knowing that one cat is going to die while fighting in the Dark Forest, and whenever a cat dies in the Dark Forest, they are not able to go to the cat heaven, which is called Starclan, that every other cat is able to go to. So you're really taking that risk when you go to fight in the Dark Forest, and you just know as you begin reading that it's gonna have to be someone. They're not just telling you this just to tell you one of these characters is going to experience that. I did hate it, but it also made me feel something. The scenes were really well written, and you had a lot of empathy for the characters, which doesn't happen too often in this series, for me at least. This was only the second 5 out of 5 stars out of all of the books that I have read in this series. I felt the worst about this cat's death than any other cat, including probably the most beloved character of the entire series, because that cat gets to go to cat heaven, but this one doesn't. Okay, so next I read Skinship. This is a collection of short stories about Korean American people. There are 8 different stories, and each one is very long. I know a lot of people prefer like lots of chapters that are shorter or lots of stories that are shorter as opposed to really long ones, so maybe keep that in mind. But overall, I thought it was a really good collection of short stories about the Korean American immigrant experience. I've seen a lot of Korean Americans say this is the most Korean American book they've ever read. Each story is so different with such different characters who come from different backgrounds, but they all share similar themes and everyone goes through similar struggles. It really shows you that everyone from one country is really not so different after all. We're really seeing this with Ukraine. The ending was a bit weak though, because the 2 last stories are about someone dying like one after the other, so it leaves you with not the best feeling towards the end, and one of them really goes into detail about death in the physical sense, and it just doesn't leave you with the best feeling. But I feel like that's probably like the westernized person inside of me. This might be something that is really appealing in Korean culture, and I rated this one 4 out of 5. So next I read Assassin. This was a reread of a book I picked up in middle school that I remember really adoring. This was supposed to kind of help me get out of a reading slump, and it was kind of working until Putin. So this is a historical fiction book that follows our main character, Arabella, Bella for short. It's set in the 1850s during the time of the Lincoln presidency and the Civil War. Arabella really wants to go into theater and become an actress, but she lives with her grandmother, who is a seamstress at the White House for the First Lady, and her grandmother really wants Arabella to pursue being a seamstress because she's so good at it. She thinks women who go into theater are not moral, but Arabella eventually takes up a seamstress job at the Ford Theater where John Wilkes Booth is working as an actor. So she becomes in contact with him, and she also has connections to the White House, and this is a completely made up character just set in a real life situation that actually happened, Abraham Lincoln being assassinated. The John Wilkes Booth character basically uses Arabella to his advantage She is only 15. John Wilkes Booth is 26. He really charms and manipulates her into thinking he's going to give her these connections to become an actress, and really is just using her for information on Lincoln. And he is so unhinged and really gives me Ted Bundy vibes with the way he is with women. The story is told in alternating points of view. One chapter is Arabella, then it's John Wilkes Booth, and it keeps going back and forth like that. There also is a really amazing love interest in this. Call me basic, but I think it is so romantic that when he goes away to boarding school, he and Arabella keep in touch through writing letters to each other for 3 years. They do not see each other in person. And while that's awful, I think it's so cute that they would write these really detailed, amazing letters to each other. And it just sounds so personal and sweet, especially with the handwriting aspect to it. I melt for that stuff. So much of this was so romantic. And he said he was going to come back and marry her. And now at this time, I would be like, hell no. But back then, her grandmother was becoming weaker. Arabella was still living with her. Once her grandmother was gone, she would have to pretty much get married to have any kind of life. So I understood the choices she had to make, but not some of the ones she had to make when it came to John Wilkes Booth. This book has really simple writing. It's not very lyrical or like pretty or poetic in that sense, but because it is so simple, the pacing is amazing. It's so plot driven. It's only like 200 pages long. It's completely a page turner. I read it all in one day. It's impossible to put down. I highly recommend this to get out of a reading slump, especially if your favorite genre is historical fiction like me, and I rated it 5 out of 5. So the book that I'm kind of trying to get through, I thought I would finish it before the end of this month, but I need to read it today because I feel like I'm going to go mentally insane if I do not set aside some time to just like relax. I'm reading From Lukov with Love. You might think this is kind of funny considering this has a Russian character in it, obviously, and maybe that's not something I want to think about right now. You would be right. However, you guys convinced me on Instagram to still go through with starting on this book. I'm really glad I did because this character, there's nothing to really do with Russia. The main character is actually not Russian at all. I think this is going to be an enemies to lovers trope sort of thing. I don't know too much about it, but both of the characters are kind of irritating. I hope they redeem themselves. I'm less than 100 pages in and it's a very long book. The guy, Lukov, is very irritating, but also being inside the head of Jasmine is also not a fun experience so far. I'm just really hoping for some character development, but I will give my full thoughts on that in next month's wrap up. And yeah, that's it for today's wrap up. Let me know down below what your favorite read was this month. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you want to follow me on my Instagram, it is right here. And if you want to follow me on my TikTok, that is right here. I will see you all hopefully very soon, probably with my vlog of me organizing my very first protest and also going to my like second protest. I'm gonna have the video of my speech in it. I just really hope this does something. I'm putting my all into this right now because it's all I can do. That's it. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Slava Ukraini. Bye guys.